Welcome, we're sitting here with Mark and Dave from Kingstons Real Estate. My name is Christopher Els and we'll be just chatting to them about the agency and what makes them tick as a startup. So how's it, gents?
Hi Chris.
Firstly, if you guys could just introduce yourselves and the agency as a whole and what got you guys interested in property in the first place.
I'm David Helena. This is Michael Drennan. We are co-founders and owners of Kingstons Real Estate. I suppose how we came about was I've come from a property background where I worked in the UK for 6 years. Moved back to South Africa in 2010. I know Mark personally. Mark has come from a background in the construction commercial industry. And we were at a social event where we were both ultimately sort of talking about our experiences through being purchasers in the property market. And we were simply dissatisfied through the service that we were receiving through agents at the time. And I suppose that was the initial sort of seed where ultimately sort of leads us to where we are today. We decided then and then that we wanted to start our own agency with our own input and sort of rules that we'd like to implement. So, yeah.
Great. And you mentioned that other agents had some problems. Now, what differentiates Kingstons from the competition?
Well, Chris, I think there are a few things. One of them being the professionalism we try to bring to the industry. In general, the average estate agency you deal with will make use of independent contractors, whereby we employ full-time staff, all of which are salaried. The recruitment process for it is incredibly stringent. We make sure we have sort of blue chip candidates working at the agency. And with a full-time dedicated team, we're able to march in the same direction, focus our energies, make sure the vision and goals for ourselves as owners, the business as a whole and our colleagues all aligns. That's another thing we kind of found with the industry as a whole, is there'd be a lack of synergy between the franchisors at the top, franchisees below them, and then the estate agents. And with the three of them marching in different directions, the customer experience wasn't always a pleasant one.
Yeah, I think as well what sort of might separate us is that we are very aggressive in our marketing. We feel that a property that's valued at 150,000 Rand or a property that is valued on the market for 10 million Rand deserves the equal service, deserves the same amount of professionalism that one would receive at the higher level of the market, or even at the lower end. We've got independent photographers that we use that are professionals in their own right. Like I said, we treat every property as if they're exactly the same. We make sure that they are shown off in the best possible light online. I think that's very much where the digital space has moved the property industry towards. We cover all the bases across all major platforms that properties need to be on. And in addition to that, we have embraced social media in a big way. That's very much a big part of our business. We have strategic campaigns where we will specifically target a group of demographics or buyers that we feel might be best suited to each and every sort of particular property. So every campaign that we run is very sort of, there's logic and reasoning behind the strategy and plan behind the marketing of that property. So that's been a huge contributor to our success, I think, definitely.
So Dave, you mentioned that your marketing is quite aggressive in the digital space. I believe that Kingstons has been in and amongst the awards both last year and this year. Do you guys mind just elaborating on that a bit?
Sure.
Yeah, in 2015, second year of operations, we were nominated by a few of our clients through a campaign that 702 and Sage 1 Pastel were running. At the time, it was a small business awards, and we were fortunate enough to be nominated, like I said, and we were a finalist in that category, which was great for us. It really was a nice sort of platform for us to put ourselves on and use to our advantage, and it sparked our interest to sort of explore other similar sort of campaigns. And after much exploration, we sort of found what was ultimately the Oscars of the property industry and what the equivalent is, and we entered the International Property Awards, and rather humbling and incredibly we were nominated for our marketing and our website. We're one of two independently owned South African estate agencies that were nominated. We attended the ceremony in Dubai, which was held at the JW Marriott Hotel, and we rubbed shoulders with some pretty successful businesses and agencies around Africa and the Middle East. So it was a great experience for us, and we certainly took a lot from it. We've been invited back for the next awards next year, which we're very much looking forward to, and also sort of implementing some of the things that we've learnt in our day-to-day operations.
And moving forward, do you guys look at expanding? Where do you guys see yourself in the next couple of months or years?
Yeah, absolutely. We currently have plans underway to expand into the Greenstone area. At the moment, our focus has been on the East Rand, where we've consolidated a good portion of the market share and feel we lead in the field. From Greenstone, I suppose we'll be moving northwards into the Johannesburg northern suburbs and the greater Joburg area.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully one day in the not too distant future you'll be seeing a Kingstons board scattered across the country on properties for sale. Yeah.
And then from a personal and business perspective from both of you guys, what hurdles have you guys encountered that future entrepreneurs, future startups, both in your industry and outside, could encounter? Just go ahead and name it.
I think something we both sort of experienced early on is the balance between work and social life, or work-life balance. It's a given that when you start a new business, an incredible amount of effort and like personal resource is going to have to go into it, which was definitely the case with us and Kingstons. So finding that balance early on was a bit of a struggle. I think we've managed to get there more or less. And then recruitment was another big one for us. As we mentioned earlier, recruiting and taking on the right staff, people that fitted our sort of ambitions, values and motivations was incredibly important, and that was maybe a bigger challenge than we initially anticipated, finding the right guys.
Yeah, early on I think we quickly realised that we're both not very strong in the administrative tasks, and we quickly realised we needed to sort of fix that problem, which we have, and I think we certainly sort of learned where our strengths and where our weaknesses were pretty early on, and definitely administrative sort of tasks wasn't one that we kind of ever do well at all. Yeah, but that was certainly one. I think specifically more so sort of towards our industry and business is the brand awareness, and sort of we're entering into a market where other agents have been around for 20, 30 years and have almost built many bridges of trust, and for us coming in as a new brand, a new agency, initially has been a challenge, but we felt that once we get in front of a client and sort of talk to them about how we go about our day-to-day operations of business, it kind of does sort of bridge that gap. But that certainly was a big challenge initially, and I suppose will be an ongoing challenge as we enter into any new market or area where we might not be present.
And then as we will be discussing with the future interviewees, we're just looking for 5 tips, rules, codes that you guys may live by that could help startups and entrepreneurs better function in the future. So do you guys mind sharing your 5 rules that has guided you guys through this time?
Okay. I think one that was especially important for us in the initial phases was cash flow management. Cash flow is the lifeblood of any organisation in business, and if it's not managed well, you're going to run into problems. So that was something we were very diligent and almost prudent about, making sure the cash flow was always there, and manage that carefully and you should be okay. Another one would be surrounding yourself with the right people, getting the correct staff or the correct colleagues around you, people that share your values, your motivations, and are heading in the same direction as you. That would be a definite number 2 for me.
I think if I had to add to that, I'd say your organisational structure and sort of roles and responsibilities and tasks and systems need to be in place. If somebody's not there for whatever reason on that day, how will your business cope? And I think setting up the right sort of systems, making sure that your business will still sort of flow efficiently and properly, whilst that person's not there is an important sort of box to tick and get going before you sort of expand and look to sort of gain more market share in other areas. Goals has been a big one for us. We've set ourselves goals constantly and consistently all the time. So I think short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals are incredibly important to any business. You've got to keep monitoring sort of how your progress is going. You've got to have an ultimate sort of aspiration to where you want to be, and I suppose sharing that with your staff as well, making sure that you're all singing off the same hymn sheet is a really important thing to do. So yeah.
I suppose to add to that is also implementing the action necessary to achieve your goals. Putting a goal down on a piece of paper doesn't mean anything unless the action is followed through and you're taking the necessary steps to make sure you achieve them. That would be, I suppose, adding to point 4. And maybe point 5 would be patience and persistence. Just it's a long slog. There are the ups and downs in any entrepreneurial endeavor. So you need the patience and persistence to go through the good times as well as the bad. And keep your chin down. Eventually, when you do lift your head up, you'll be a lot further ahead than you initially thought you would be.
And Mark and Dave, which books would you guys recommend that the viewers can maybe pick up off the shelf, get a good read?
One that immediately comes to mind for me from a business point of view is Jim Collins' Built to Last. I think he gives a good framework, based on research for what needs to be in place for a business to make it from the initial startup phase through to being a full-scale large corporation.
One that I think is a really good one is Good to Great. The author there is Jim Collins as well. So I think that would be a good one to sort of go out and buy and definitely sort of worth a good read.
And thanks to you guys for viewing this interview, and thanks Mark and Dave for your time this afternoon. And don't forget to check out kingstons.co.za for their award-winning website. And see you again next time.